Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I just wanted to remind everyone to subscribe and like this channel and this video if you like the content. And also, I'm going to try to start with something cute that I just got in the mail. I just got my little baby shower invites. How cute are these? Ooh, there we go. Sorry. I have a hard time finding cute boy things because if you guys didn't know, I wanted a girl, so I was ready for all things girly. So when I look at all the like boy stuff for baby shower, I'm like, okay, I don't really like that. These are so cute. Books for baby. Sorry, I know you can't really see it that well. Anyway, I wanted to start off with that. And then also last night I was sitting in the nursery watching TV and I like physically saw him kick me in the stomach. And I hurried up and called Nick over and he did it again. And then I didn't see it. It stopped. But that was the first time I'd physically seen the baby kick, which is kind of cool. It's like a milestone, a moment. So that was really exciting. So I wanted to start off there sharing something fun, positive, whatever. But essentially when I started the channel or Nick started the channel for me, I had the idea of explaining this whole experience for me of basically, deciding to go to college, going to college, and then basically where I'm at now as a 26-year-old woman. And, I've shared this story before with other people. And, when I work in a restaurant and sharing it with, guests that come into the building, I'm meeting people from all over. And I just feel like a lot of people can relate. And when I'm saying it, they're like, yeah, I agree. And it's like, why are we not, if this is like how we all feel, then why is it so like still a thing? Like, you know what I mean? So anyway, let's start in the beginning because I might have shared with you guys, I always joke around about being white trash, but I am white trash. I was born and raised in like a trailer on both sides. My parents got divorced very young. And like I lived in poverty. Like I was poor growing up. And, that was always embarrassing, as a child, but also now looking back, I don't regret my childhood. I think I had a fun childhood. And, if I compare it to someone like Nick, who grew up in the, upper middle class versus me, who I'm like lower middle class poverty, a lot of my family used and probably might still use, I don't know their financial stuff now, but state assistance, things like food stamps that you literally cannot get by without the help. So and now I see someone say I still live in a trailer. Yes, like trailers now are like a financially responsible thing, but when you're have 5 kids running around because you're a single mom, it's a little bit different. Like just the way that you live is poverty. And I explain this also, like you miss some things growing up. For example, like, and this isn't for everyone, this is just my experience of growing up, poor, of not having clothes that didn't fit, not having a lot of food in the house, living without like electricity, or in the winter living without heat, opening the oven to get the heat, or in the summer you don't even have AC. Like that's what I mean by like how I lived growing up. But like I said, I wouldn't take it back. I want to start off with that because I feel like it's important to know that, that's my background, and it's not the same for everyone. And, my parents did the best they could, both blue collar workers, still working hard to this day. My mother passed away when I was 19, but, worked literally up until the day that she died. So it's not like they were lazy or they didn't do anything or whatever the circumstances. And, that is where, their lives led them, and now where our lives, basically what led me to have my life. And I just want to set the stage because, it frames the way that you think and the way that you react. And also shared before that I have quite a bit of childhood trauma growing up in poverty is a form of childhood trauma because, like I said, you go without things that other people don't even, think about, like not eating so that your younger sibling can have enough, like, you know what I mean? Just certain things like that. And it rewires your brain to think a certain way, to like have that almost like that fight or flight mode all the time. And I shared before too that I don't like being scared because the way that my nervous system reacts to it is not normal. It takes me 20 minutes to come back from being spooked, where it might take someone else 5 minutes, because my body is used to being in that fight or flight mode. And that's, that's part of that experience. And so, going, I don't have a lot of time today because I'm going to a baby shower. So I want to just kind of dive right into it. And, from as little as I can remember, I always wanted to be a judge growing up. That was like the thing that I wanted to be growing up. And I just think it's funny because now I'm a Libra. So it just kind of works itself out, I guess, But anyway, so that's like something I wanted to do for a very long time. Obviously, I don't get into school, thinking that you don't think about what you're going to be when you grow up in school. That's just like something that people ask you growing up in middle school and stuff. But once I got to high school, I went to a technical school, which, if you guys don't know what that is, it is a school that prepares you for work or college. So you have classes that you can take to kind of give you skills that you need. And it was a really good high school in my area. And I enjoyed my high school experience because I've told you guys before, I really enjoy learning. So just being at a school that the teachers liked to be there and they thought for themselves, they were critical thinkers, and, you have people from trades all over. And it was just like, I enjoyed my high school experience, just having people that wanted to be there. It wasn't the same as like the big school district that everyone goes to, that you have 120 teachers. Like, no, this was a smaller school that had, select teachers that had been there for a long time. Maybe their kids went there or they went there. So that was my experience for high school. And the shop that I was in, because we called them shop, was healthcare rehabilitation. And at the time, that was the shop to be, getting into. Like, it was a hard shop to get into. You had to have good grades. I was in ROTC. That probably helped me get in. I played sports. That definitely helped me get in. All these things that I've always been a overachiever. Like, I am the oldest of 7. Like, I am controlling and I'm perfectionist and I make sure that stuff gets done. And those are like my top traits, like the things that made me successful, the things that made me survive, all the way through my life. I still, have to this day, I still carry. And so, I get into this shop, and so they teach you things like massage therapy, and it's sports medicine. So it's kind of like a bunch of different things that you can learn. I did a lot of anatomy, and, something that I want to say though is, my parents went to this same high school. So my mom got pregnant with me at the end of her senior year. I was born in October, so she had already been graduated. And my dad is a year younger than my mom. So I was born in October. My dad had just started his senior year. So something to think about, because some of these teachers still worked at this school. Some of these counselors or whatever still worked at this school when I started to attend. So that whole, I know your family kind of thing. Like, what do you think the thoughts are for 2 teenagers having a child straight out of high school? Like, you already know the judgmental thought process and things like that. And I felt that from 1 or 2 people there. And I would never mention their name or anything, but like, you are not as good as some of these other kids that have better families or better parents. But yes, basically considered trash. Like, you don't know me, So, just always like thinking I'm below these people. And maybe that's another thing, like trying to prove that I am just as good as, my peers, even though I had a harder life. Like at the time, yeah, I was profiled by those above me. And, that is one of the many things I'll cover in this live, because just the way that these educators are, thinking how they are and how they impose that their personal beliefs and, their their experiences, thinking that that is how everyone should think or look at someone, instead of just letting it happen for how it is, or letting people make their own, name for themselves, which I'm not like my parents. I am like my parents in a lot of ways, because that's who raised me. And I like to think that I took all the best qualities from them, and that's what they wanted. But it's just, I felt that, like that mold that I had to try to break. And that probably, had a lot to do with where I'm at now. But so, I go into this shop and I work hard and I do everything that I'm supposed to do. I receive good grades. Like I said, I did all the extracurricular activities. I was a student athletic trainer. I tried to get the internships. And Nick, you are literally posting in my name on the live chat. So you should log out of my name and log into your own. Sorry, I just had to say that because I look like I'm talking about myself. Anyway, so I'm working hard, and you graduate high school with a diploma. Well, I went above and beyond, and I graduated with a master's of technical diploma, which was a really big deal back then. It's a paper that you have to write that's, like 30 pages long, and you have to, do like an hour-long presentation. It's just so much work. And to prove myself, just to be like, I can do that, I did it, and I got a great score on it. And it, like I'm saying, it's like a small percentage of students do this, not knowing now, 10 years later, that technical diploma really doesn't mean jack shit. So, that is just, besides the point. But, me working that hard in high school, because, my school counselors are feeding me, I need to go to college. College is just like the holy grail. There's, trumpets playing, and, when you get there, it'll all work out. And so I wanted to not be poor. I don't want to live in poverty. I mean, who wants to live that? I know that my parents didn't decide that that's where they wanted to be. And so I decided that the only way to get out of poverty is to go to college. That's what I was taught. What else are we taught is how you get out of poverty? Like there's nothing. Like you just have to work hard and then you'll get out of it. That's the point blank period. When I'm like, I watch my parents work hard. My parents bust their ass. Like I'm like, they do work hard, but maybe they didn't do something wrong. Maybe they're dumb. Maybe they're uneducated. They didn't go to college. Both of my parents have had a trade, and also my mom even went to some college courses. And I'm sure my dad, I think he took some classes as well. It's just, that wasn't good enough. You got to go to a 4-year university degree, and that's the way. And, I remind you that I went to a technical school where they had trades. I mean, they had masonry, they had carpentry, they had cosmetology, they had, nursing, they had all these other trades. And they had all these trades, but there was like one girl in the masonry class. There was one girl in the electrical class. And you look at her like, why is she doing that? Like, what the heck? Well, probably because she had parents at home saying, baby girl, this is how you're going to make it in life. Okay. Learn this trait. So when you graduate in 3 years, you can start making yourself decent money. Like that's probably what her parents were telling her. Or, maybe she just enjoyed electrical. I don't know. And, something like the class cosmetology, like, for example, that was a class that if you didn't get into healthcare, you went to this shop as if it was like a second thought, and you're just like, now I'm like, cosmetology is such a sought after thing. Like, so many women are going back to school to go and do hair and do makeup, and even I'm like, that looks fun. But why was it healthcare rehab where I graduate with no real path? I just have options. And then instead I could have went, into cosmetology, and I leave with a trait that I can enter the workforce immediately. So, this is like my experience. I'm thinking I need to be better. I need to do the right thing. I need to get out of poverty. I need to set an example for my siblings, something that I constantly, most of the reason I try to make myself a better person is to set an example for my younger siblings. I still have siblings that are 11 years old. So I still have that deep drive inside to do better, be better, so that they can see an example of that. And it's not like, an impossible thing to do. So, we're in high school, and this is just a twisted system. And you are like, if you're an athlete, which I was an athlete, I played multiple sports. And if you are in these popular shops, I'm going to call them popular because in high school, that's exactly what it was, a popular shop. Then girl, you're on the right track. You are going to go to college. You're doing it. You are the popular girl. Like, you are doing it. You're, claps for you. And that's like terrible. Like, I'm thinking, like, looking back, like, what were you doing? If and I'm speaking by the people that knew my family, if you know the kind of life that I had, or you think you do, then you should know I don't have money for college. Okay. And oh, yes, there are scholarships out there. Yes, there are grants. Yes, there are all those things. And so now I need to put my trauma, put my childhood experience. I need to exploit my childhood and my poverty. And I need to do all that just so that I can look like, please help me. I'm poor. Give me money. That's what I have to do now. So I finally work hard. I apply to all these colleges. I get into some of them. I don't get into some of them. Don't even talk about the money you spend on the application. So like I said, single mom here, my dad's raising 5 kids. Like, that $30 to $50 for the application doesn't come easily. Like, it's not like it's nothing. So anyway, and so, I finally get there, and it's, I got my phone right here. Let me just Google. So you guys know I grew up in Delaware. So let's just Google University of Delaware, which is a very nice college in Delaware. Let's Google the tuition really quick. 2020. Let's just do that. And so for non-residents, it's $17,000 a semester. And for residents, that's $6,000 and $365 a semester. That doesn't include room and board, which is another $6,000. So we're at about 12 to 13 grand. And then mandatory fees. So we're at about 15 grand for in-state tuition. So I live here. I've grown up in this state my whole life. I love Delaware. I can't even go to the college in my home state unless I have 20 grand a semester. So we're talking 40 grand a year, $40,000 a year for me to go at 18 years old and not know what the heck I'm doing. And so that is the reality, and that's fine. Okay. So I apply for the scholarships. I apply for the Pell Grants. I'm not poor enough. I'm not dumb enough. I'm not whatever you need to be to get a scholarship. I don't get any of them. And could I have worked harder to get to apply for the money? Probably. But let me remind you, I'm also working a full-time job for a high school student. So like 25 hours a week. And, I'm trying to maintain some sort of social life because I'm still 18. I'm applying for these colleges. I'm doing the most. So I'm working my butt off to be told that school is $20,000 a year. Okay. So, or $20,000 a semester. So then I say, I'm going to do it. I talk to my mom. I talk to my dad. They still think I should go to college. I still want to go to college. I want to go at this point. You're excited. College is like, the way that you're going to get out of this life, the way that you're going to, the way that you're going to change to be different, to do something different. None of my family had graduated college at this point. So I'm just like, I have to do it. There's a desire to do it and there's a need to do it. And, I just, so I get into these colleges and I go and I apply for student loans. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I apply for these student loans and I get approved. I can't get a credit card. I don't get approved for a credit card because, I'm trying. I have a shopping addiction. And I feel like every 18-year-old girl that grows up poor and finally has her own money, like all of a sudden she just likes lotions and wants just the nice things, you know what I mean? And so I'm experiencing that. And I can't get approved for a credit card, nothing like serious, but I get approved for student loans. Okay. I don't remember the amount of what I got approved for. I just remember that it was like half of what I would need. So I get approved for student loans. So say it's $40,000 a year. We're just going to use that as the estimated cost because the college that I was going to go to was West Virginia University. I wasn't even going to go to, University of Delaware. I wasn't going to go to anything like that. I was going to go to West Virginia University because what did I want to do at the time? I was going to college for athletic training, or that's something that I wanted to do, which is a hard field to get into alone. But I do that and I get approved for we'll say 20 grand. So I still need 20 more grand to go to college. And I look at my mom and I'm like, what do I do? How do people go to college? I don't have 20 grand to finish it off. What am I supposed to do? And she goes, well, I guess we have to take out another loan, another private loan. So my mother, who is a single mom, she is working at a restaurant. She's a bartender server, same thing that I do. She has a baby on her hip because my mom had a baby in 2010 and I'm graduated in 2013. So she's got a 3-year-old on her hip because she's still working and raising children. I'm the oldest. And, she's now looking at the fact that she might have to take out $20,000 loan. You don't think she's probably already in some kind of debt? I mean, all of my childhood homes were foreclosed on, cars were repossessed. I lived that life. So you just, I can't even imagine the kind of experience that she went through, let alone me. So I give it some thought. I don't know what comes over me because I had a strong desire to go to college. I wanted to go. I wanted a different life. I wanted out of this poverty, this poor, this embarrassing, and not having enough money. I just wanted out of that. I don't know what happened because we were going to do it. But I ended up deciding that I was like, if I don't have enough money, I'm not doing that. I'm not going. I'm not taking out double loans. I had no knowledge of interest, of debt, of how I couldn't even conceptualize what $40,000 was. So why I made that decision, I'm going to leave it up to, something else because it wasn't me. But I decided not to go because of the money. And I applied to the local university, which was Wilmington University. It was still a university. It just didn't have on-campus living in the area that I lived in. And it was affordable. I mean, it was $300 a credit. So that is we're not going to get into it. You say that you look at a purse in a store and it's $500 and you're like, ooh, but then you see that it's, 20% off and you're like, oh, now it's a good deal. Well, it shouldn't have been marked that high to begin with. So that's kind of how Wilmington University works because they shouldn't be that high either. But you look at all the other universities around them and you're like, this is a deal. So I'm adjusting to the fact that I'm not going away for college. It's embarrassing. All my friends that are in school who aren't dead poor like me, that have money, their parents, who knows what they do, I never cared to know, are, getting ready to go to college. They're buying stuff for their dorms. And it's once again me sitting out because I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money to go to college because I didn't want to take out $20,000 in my name and $20,000 in my mother's name for 1 year. Not to mention, I needed to go for 4 years. So, this is, hard to experience, but I still want to go to college. I'm still going to try. So I apply to the school. I get in. Yay. I had some code for a free, application, which is great. Thank you for saving me $30 after I spent $500 applying to colleges all year. And they accept me and I enroll and I end up taking an undergrad in psychology because at this point I didn't know what I wanted to do. Who does at 18? I still don't know what I want to do. The options are really out there for me. It's endless. And so I decide I'm going to do psychology because I know that it's a good broad background. I'm definitely interested in social sciences and everyone's like, don't worry about what people think, don't worry about them. Like now as a 26-year-old, screw them. I don't care what they think. But at an 18-year-old who, you're trying hard to fit in because you just got out of high school and, you want all the nice things that everyone has because, like I said, I didn't go to the main school district high school. I went to like another high school where you had to apply to get in. So not everyone got in. It was selective. And having a certain name, last name or whatever, allowed you to get into that school. And so these people obviously knew people and they had money. So it was a little bit higher quality of people. Yes, there are still people like me that got in, but you have to kind of understand like the social dynamic. And that's still very real for people that are 16, 17, 18, 19, like just still trying to fit in and just the appearance. And that's like something we have to still factor in on why people make decisions at that age, because that is a big reason. Like I'm going to go to which college is going to, have better football games where I can take pictures at and make more friends or get into a sorority or, those are the things that students are looking at because they think that's important. And maybe that is important. I was never in a sorority, so maybe that is important. I don't know. But, still factoring that in as an 18-year-old. And, I decide to go to college and I apply to Wilmington and I'm just going to live at home. So I'm still living at home. And I'm taking the classes and that shit is easy. I'm like, what? This is so easy. Why is college so easy? I hear about my friends who are struggling in college and I'm like excelling. And I'm like, why is this so easy? I mean, this college reminds me of my high school because this is a smaller college. These teachers want to be there. Some of them go there too. They're adjunct. I think that's what that means where you I don't know. Anyway, some of them are going there to get a doctorate or, a master's degree and they're teaching. So they're drinking the Kool-Aid. They enjoy this school. And, this is where I'm supposed to be. I enjoy this school. I really enjoy it. Well, then my mom dies. And that was who I was registered for under everything. So, all my financial aid stuff was under her, like, everything, your life goes up and you're just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I have no idea what to do. It's just, I'm sure you can imagine what kind of like where my life was at that point. Like I just started college, basically I went from a 0 to 100 really quickly. So the opinions of others and those things like, that no longer matters. I'm literally in survival mode now. Like the person that could, I did a lot for myself. I helped my mother raise my siblings because I've said it many times. A single mom of 5 kids is not easy. And you need that help. And the oldest sibling and the second oldest sibling, because my sister Alexis did just as much as I did, we take on that. We internalize that, we take that on and we make it our job to help take care of the family, to do what we have to do to support it. So, my mind is literally like, whew. So this is specific university, a couple of my teachers I had gotten close with, Nick and I took one college class together, and he called me a teacher's pet. And if I can relate to a teacher, if I can tell that they love what they're doing and they're passionate and they are here for the right reasons, I like immediately, like, I'm drawn to them, because that's what I want to do. I want to feel that, I want to feel that passion or that like excitement that you have. Like, I love nerdy people for that reason. Like, you love this topic, you love this job. We had this one professor, because Nick went to the same school I did. He did the same thing, psychology. There was this one professor, Nick, if you are thinking of him, say his name. He's Gary something. He was the biggest nerd. He taught like all the psychology courses. You probably had him 4 or 5 times if you went to Wilmington University. And oh my God, you just enjoyed it. And so, I was a teacher's pet. So these teachers, they start to like you. They enjoy your company in the class. You're with them for a semester. You're building a relationship with them. Well, they found out that my mother passed away, and it was a local tragedy in, right down the road from the school. And so I don't know what happened or who put in for what, but one of my teachers or something wrote in, and they shared my sob story, again, exploiting. I'm sounding negative about it, but you have to understand I am in eternally grateful. But still, I had to exploit my pain, exploit my sadness, my tragedy, my trauma, to get this university to take it to the higher ups. They grant Pell Grants to students that have really tough situations. Well, that obviously qualifies, because they know that I'm the oldest of 7, but my mom had 5 of them. So, the oldest of her 5 kids. And so they cover my undergrad tuition. They pay for everything. So I had already taken a semester of loans out. They pay those too. Give you those Pell Grants back, because they're covering it and they're giving me a Pell Grant. So I have now money to pay for my books, pay for, anything that I needed to help with college, because that my parents were helping me with that. We're trying to. I was still working full time. Don't act like I wasn't, still working more now, because I didn't have high school getting in the way of more shifts. And so I'm working. I'm so eternally grateful. I actually only take 2 weeks off of school, because I don't want to get too far behind, because my mom would have wanted me for anything to finish college. Like, that was something that she was just so proud of me for, going to college, in her mind too. That's how you get out of this. That's how you get out of this poverty. You got to do something different. Don't be like me. That's what your parents are supposed to be. Be better than me. Do what I didn't do, And so I said, I'm just going to finish school. I have to do this. This is like what she wanted me to do. Now I don't have the debt to worry about, which I'm grateful for many reasons. One, because I didn't know the kind of blessing that was back then. I try to tell you guys, you can't conceptualize $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. You don't understand what that costs. What do you own in your life at 18 that costs that much money? I mean, dude, $200 in your bank account is like, you're rich, baby. And that's like what it is like growing up. Maybe that I don't want to speak for all 18-year-olds. Maybe there are financially literate 18-year-olds out there. Good for you. I'm glad someone taught you, because no one taught me, because my parents didn't know that stuff. So, having $100 or $200 is like, woo, like you're freaking rich. But so I'm trying to take out these loans for 20 grand. 20 grand. What? You know how long it took me to save up $1,000 for my mom to take me to the car auction to buy my first car that was actually $1,100. So I didn't even have enough money. So she's calling her friends, who my mom's friends are ride or dies, because they're all chipping in to get her money so that I can have a car. Like, you just the money thing alone is just a whole rant that I could sit here and talk about, because now that I am financially literate, moment of silence. So, I finished college. I shared with you guys, I worked my butt off. I finished college. I still don't really know what I want to do. I end up taking this course that's a brand new course. It is called Trauma Informed Care, and it is just rolled out. So I'm, 19, 20, 21. I am starting to I'm already an adult because I had just gone through one of the worst things in my life that just it just pushed me through that shell of teenager to adulthood. So I am a young adult at this point. I am, I'm working full time. I've shared with you guys, bouncing back and forth from house to house. I'm just trying to make my life what I want it to be. And I take this class, Trauma Informed Care, and it literally blows my mind. It is everything that I've ever wanted to know about myself. And I just, I had a lot of trauma, and you just don't realize how much it affects you growing up, and you don't even know. You just you just don't know until you're older and you can read about it, or you can see it, and you're like, I do that, or I struggle with that, or I have that issue too. Like, I agree. That sucks. I also do that. Like, and then you're like, I think that I have that issue, And, I had a stint, I took a long weekend at a mental health, like, inpatient place, like, and to me, I'm still thinking I'm normal. I mean, I'm normal, but, we just normalize trauma now. So, I take this class, and it truly blows my mind because I read this thing, or I heard this thing. Oh, and my favorite book ever. I've read it multiple times. It's called The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. And it is a very long book. I listened to it on audiobook, and it just it explains to you everything that you need to know about yourself if you are someone that has a lot of trauma, or you're trying to understand someone with trauma. Nick has his own thing of trauma that I have to understand. And, now I'm trying to understand myself so that he can understand me, because, that's a whole nother thing. So I call it me search. The research is the me search, and I'm me searching, and I'm me searching in school, and I'm taking this class, and I'm like, I need more. Like, I need more of whatever this is. I need more of it. And I'm taking all these psychology courses, and they're doing good. They're interesting, but it's not enough. It's not enough. I need more of this specific thing. And someone comes in, the chairperson of the school counseling program at the same school. She comes in, and she's talking to everyone, and she is selling the idea. She comes into one of our end of our seminars, like, you're getting ready to graduate. And she's like selling the job of becoming a school counselor. Like, that's her program. That's probably her job. And oh my God, she could have been a car salesman in her past life. She did amazing. I'm listening, I told you, I just had this course. I'm probably simultaneously taking this course while listening to this lady. And you're helping students, you have summers off, and you get great benefits. And, well, this is all things that I never had growing up. Like, this sounds amazing. And I get to help kids. That's what I want to do. I'm trying to help myself. I need to help them. And, this is exactly what I want to do. Literally, from the moment this woman finished, I'm like, sign me the F up. I'm ready. I'm going to be a school counselor. I'm going to do what nobody did for me, what they should have did for me, what my school counselors, how they treated me, what they lied to me, what they fed to me. I got a chip on my shoulder now because I didn't been lied to all through high school, and I'm angry. Really, I'm angry. And you're lucky that my school gave me a full scholarship for my undergrad, or I would have been sick to my stomach after 4 years. And, they're lucky. I don't know what I would have done, but would have came back with vengeance. because now I'm $40,000 in debt, and the trumpet show that was supposed to be there when I started college wasn't there. They really, really just pumped air into this dream until you get there and you're like, is this a joke? Like, I got the fuzzy lights around my bed, but I don't understand. Anyway, so I decided that's what I'm going to do. She tells us that the program is rolling admissions, which means you can apply at any time, because I graduated early with my undergrad in psychology, fancy degree, insert here. And, I sign up, I get into the program. It's a kind of competitive program, not too hard, but I did great. And they can probably look at my records and see, once again, I had such a troubled life. Oh, we should let her in, this poor thing. You know what? I did have to go through that shit. So if it's going to get me in there, then that's fine. We'll go ahead and let me in the program. So I get into the program, and wouldn't you know that this program is just everything that I needed to hear. It just teaches me, like, yes, I have to take like special ed and, things like that to learn about the different kinds of students that I will encounter. But essentially, I'm just learning about social emotional development. I'm learning about how to talk to students, how to deal with students, how to talk to families. Like, I'm literally me searching at this point. Okay. This is about me. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I have to, make a lesson plan. Okay. But it's just the career that I took was for me. I was like, oh, it has benefits. You have summers off. But again, still not conceptualizing the money that I'm going to have. So I take, I have a full scholarship. I have a full ride for my undergrad. And I decide that I would never have had this opportunity to get a master's degree had I not had a full ride. Like, so instead of having $100,000 in debt, let me just have 40 instead. Again, not conceptualizing this money, because even though I'm still 22, still no one has taught me really about what this money is about. A student loan, federal aid, they give you this little slideshow you got to take. This is what the interest will be. This is what it's going to cost, blah, 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 blah. Thinking like, okay, yeah, I'm just like, click, click. Yes. Agree. Yes. I do want these loans. Yes, I do. Not knowing, what that really means, what it really is. So I start taking the classes. And like I said, it's just amazing. Well, that class that I took in my undergrad, that trauma-informed care, well, they roll out a whole certificate for it. So I'm like, yes, please. So I'm the very first class to take this certificate. And my teacher, I can't remember her name, amazing, absolutely amazing. Teacher's pet yet again. I'm obsessed. I just think that she's just so knowledgeable. And I know that I need to do something with traumatic patients, traumatic students, anybody that's dealing with trauma. And I don't mean like the nitty-gritty stuff. I mean like any form of trauma, like growing up poor. That is a traumatic event on its own. I shared this earlier in the live stream. Growing up poor, or having only one parent in the household, having a parent incarcerated, having physical disability, like living with someone who maybe cannot care for you because of their disability. Like, those are all things that we don't consider unless you actually have that in your home. So that's like the stuff that I want to work with, because I have empathy, I have compassion, I have sympathy. I can literally feel for these people. Like you understand them on another level that you cannot understand unless you go through something like that. Like Nick said, addiction in the home. My mom was a functioning addict. Like, I can say that now as an adult. I couldn't say that years ago because that's just too heavy. But it's just like, it's just, I know this is what I'm supposed to do. And I just don't know. I don't know where I'm going. Disclaimer. But I know what I came from and what I have now and what I can offer and what I try to offer. So that's that. I enjoy this job very much. I'm learning. I decide, then I shared with you guys, I decide to go and do a long distance internship because it is my opportunity. And, college, my certificate and taking it right off the wall. Trauma-informed care, trauma-informed approach. That basically means I have that special skill where I look at things through a trauma-informed lens, meaning, instead of what's wrong with you, what happened to you. And I already looked at things that way, but now I got a piece of paper that cost me money. That's officially, me saying I can look at things, and that can be applied everywhere. Like, I specifically wanted to do it in schools because I wanted to teach children in elementary school these skills, these things that they are not taught, because most of the time people don't even know what the heck it is. But I wanted to teach them how to cope with the things that are coming ahead before it's too late. And then they can't cope, and they end up doing a weekend stay at a mental institute like I did, or whatever, And I also got another certificate in conflict resolution because, a little side note, while I was in college, while my mom passed away, I had to go to mediation with my youngest sister's father because he tried not to let us see them. And just a messy situation. I have a good relationship with them now, but that took a while for us to build that trust, build that relationship, because it was just a situation that my mom had created that I fell right into. And so I decided that I'm going to, I'm going to go to get a mediation certificate now, because that's how I overcompensate for how I feel about things. So that was something else that I had done. And I go and I internship for a full year. I internship in Manatee County, which is a school district struggling for school counselors, which I shared with you guys before. And I worked at a Title I school. For the whole first semester, I spent all of my time in this Title I school, and it was overwhelming, to say the least. And I am someone who, it takes a lot to overwhelm me. I had to step back many times and say, I cannot do that. I cannot do that because that is not my job. And that is not my job. And, or I don't have time for that. Or I still have to go to my other real job to make money because I have a house now that I'm paying for. And, I'm still paying for this, Also, I want to say that at the moment I took out student loans for my master's degree, I immediately started paying on them because I knew that I needed to pay. So I would pay $100 a month on my student loans before they were due to help beat interest. And then, if I would get sent refund checks, which, if are money that the government sends back to you. So basically, it's your student loans. So say they give you $30,000 and 20 grand of it covers your tuition. Well, you get 10 grand of free money. What? Awesome. And so, okay, you get the money, the 10 grand. Little do you know that is not free money. That is money you were going to pay interest on in a couple of years. I sent it back. I sent the money back. I'm like, I literally don't want this. Send it back as soon as possible. Something that none of my friends did. And that made my debt obviously cut in half. But that's like another little scam that they do, where they send you money. Instead of just taking it back, you don't need this, they send it to you. I'm guessing it's because maybe people don't work when they're in school. Maybe people have other bills that they need to pay, books. I don't know why people need that extra money. I'm assuming that's why. I just worked in college and that's how I paid for it. So that's my side note. But back to my internship that I'm working at. So my first semester, I work in a Title I school, which, if you don't know, is a low income school. Like, all of these students are low, like pretty much 100% of these students are low income. And I then the second semester I decide that I should try to work at a school that's not this bad, like that, not bad, but like that maybe has the support staff that they need, has the resources that they need in a different area. So you see like different families, things like that. Not that that's what I prefer, but I need to get the well-rounded opinion of this job that I just spent $40,000 on getting. So I do this, and I just need you guys to know that I put my heart and soul into this, like my effort. Like I did this. This is what I wanted to do. You can tell I'm passionate about it. I really, really want to help. And I literally hated it. I hated this job. I hated it so much. I hated it because it stole my life away. It literally stole my life away. I had no time. I had no joy. I had nothing to give to my husband, to myself, to the people around me. Luckily, I had no friends here because I just moved here, but I had nothing to give after this supposedly, 8-hour workday. It doesn't end at 8 hours. You take that stuff home. You come home covered in trauma. You come home dripping wet of people's pain and sorrow and the need and how much they help. And yes, interns don't get paid. So exactly, I didn't get any money from this. And not that would make it better, but you can deal with a little bit more if you know your bills are paid. So, I am coming home paralyzed. I laid in bed many nights like this with the covers up. And I'm just in my head, I'm re-traumatized. I'm just reliving these experiences. I'm reliving my own traumas. I'm reliving these students' traumas. I will just tell you one story. I come into school one day and the little kid this I won't say that story. I come into school and it's like a Wednesday and this kid isn't in school. And after a couple days, we go to try to find these kids. Why are they not in school? Most of the time, their life, why they're not in school. Well, come to find out, 2 days ago, the mom picked up the student and just like, you're not supposed to do that. I guess she was not on the list. And now the kid, we can't find the kid. The mom wasn't supposed to pick it up. Something happened where the mom picked up the student. I wasn't there for I didn't do bus duty. I didn't do that stuff. I left before then because I had to go, I had to go to my other job. And we go to find this kid, and this specific truancy person was just phenomenal, knew the area, knew the families, knew she was what the school needed. And she goes and she comes back, and the kid is literally in a crack house. This kindergartner is literally in a crack house for 2 days. Parents don't know where she's at. The mom picked her up. And you might say, like, why it's not, if we were not here, if that truancy person, if the teacher didn't say it's been 2 days, if that whole system wasn't in place, or we were like, that's not our job, because realistically, it's not. Like, that truancy person goes above and beyond. She gets in her own car on her own lunch break to find this kid because the dad's like, we don't know. Well, obviously, the dad's probably not the best parent either. But to find this kid, she's putting her life in danger to bring this kid to school, get her some clothes, get her something to eat because it's been 2 days. And that seems like an extreme situation, but I'm telling you, this happens all the time. This is all over the place. And that was just this one specific school case that I'm just like, what? Like, and I shared with you guys before, like, the ratio already of student counselor to students. So, we got a new superintendent of the district, and she made it so that more school counselors can be employed in a school so that you have more resources available. But when I started, it was one school counselor per school, and that's like 900 students. So, that was my experience. So, okay, so say I didn't like the job because of the pain, and that's fine. But I did not make the money I was promised. So, they guarantee you $60,000 starting off, $50,000 starting off. You're coming out of college making that. Okay, that's doable. For a single woman with no children, that's doable to live off of. Very much. I grew up with, warming up with heat from my oven. Like, I can live off of $50,000. But that is not what I made. Okay? I maybe would have started off with like 35. Maybe. I have a master's degree. Like, to not sound like I have a master's degree, but to be like, that is what I was told. That is what I was fed. That is what I was promised. And that's not what I was making. So, trying to be like, well, that's a tough pill to swallow. But I could literally make $30,000 with a bachelor's degree. Because although my bachelor's degree was, in psychology, very broad, I could have been a teacher. I could have been a professor. I could have done stuff with that entry-level position if I was going to accept entry-level money. So that's just, part of the thing, the money. And you don't get summers off. You just don't get paid. And, you work Monday through Friday and you got 2 days off a week. And it's just so rigid. And some people might really enjoy that schedule, but that is just such a rigid schedule for me that I'm not used to. And so, work, even when I worked in the good school, which just means that the parents have a little bit more money, I still didn't like the job. I was, at that point, you're not bored, but you're just like, I liked working at the Title I school 100% better because I felt like I was doing something, but also you're doing something that you're barely making a dent. You're barely making a dent in this job. And I had to decide, at what point is it worth it? Is this worth the constant re-traumatization of my own life, the pain that I'm feeling? I have nothing to give anyone. My boyfriend, my husband, didn't sign up for that. And okay, my Nick's back on so he can take care of the trolls. I'm sorry. Long story short, I am not a school counselor. I have no desire to be a school counselor. Last year, I decided, right around when COVID hit, I was like, you know what? I work at a restaurant. Maybe I could go and be a school counselor, give it another try. Like, let me just try again. Like, maybe I didn't give it my all. Maybe, I didn't, I don't know. Maybe it was something I did. So let me try it again. So I look around, I get hired, and they want me to do a bunch of stuff, and I just don't want to do it. I'm literally sitting here forcing myself to get things that they need to hire me for this job. And I just tell them, unfortunately, I'm going to pass, because I am a go-getter. I get it done. If I want the job, I will have the job, and I will start, and I will have everything you need in the 5 hours that you need it in. That to drag my feet, to just not want to do it, like, that is not something that comes naturally to me. So, me doing all that me search, I realized that maybe this is just not the job for me. That doesn't mean the topic isn't something I'm not passionate about, the things I'm not interested in, but maybe I'm just not supposed to do this. I even thought about being a teacher because I love teaching people things. I love training. I love that whole aspect. I'm very good at teaching some people things, large group of people things. Like, that is something I have realized that I'm really good at. That's what I do now. So I got my job at Texas Roadhouse as a junior in high school. And I am 26 years old, and I still have that job to this day. And they supported me, and they supported me through all of this, my ups and downs. It pushed me through college. The money I made there got me through college, and the support. And I got more mentorship from a few people at this company than I did at college. And, Nick wanted me to share something. So I have like a list of things to go over. And I didn't realize that my specific story was going to take me so long. But as you can tell, it's a very in-depth story. And, I am doing what my mom was doing, y'all. I am working at a restaurant at 26 years old. That's what my mom did. That is what she did. And my mom would trust that I know what's best for me. But I have a beautiful life. I have a wonderful life. And let me explain why. Because I have time in my day to do new things, to learn new things, to take care of myself, whether that's physical, working out, emotional, I journal, I go to counseling. I go to counseling. I still see a therapist to this day. And, I make time for my family and my friends, and I spend time with my husband, and I truly have a wonderful life, and I can afford my life. You guys, I make $30 an hour serving tables, making alcoholic drinks. And I also manage at this restaurant. And it's not that I haven't been offered a position. So I don't want you to think, oh, when you work at something like this and you don't the opportunity has been there. I have been offered to be a manager many, many, many times at this restaurant. As early, I don't think you can be a manager until you're 21. Well, I was offered the job shortly after that. So it's not like the opportunity hasn't been there. I just politely said no because I just felt like it wasn't time. I wasn't ready for that. I had to see my college through. I had to go through that experience. And I truly, I love my job. I don't understand why, it has the perfect schedule for me. If you guys don't know my specific Texas Roadhouse, it is a steakhouse. They are in every single state in the country except for Hawaii. There's 2 in Alaska. They are international. They, have many times, they are a great company to work for. Texas Roadhouse donated. They have this thing called Andy's Outreach, and it is a specific program that donates money to people that work there that have, gone through stuff. Texas Roadhouse gave me thousands of dollars to help bury my mom because my mom had nothing. I had nothing. I'm 19 years old. To try to bury, plan a funeral. You can only imagine how that goes. And you want to give your family what they deserve, what you think they deserve, as far as a gravestone and things like that. So they donated that money, and that automatically tells me something good about this company. And I work at different ones. So for a little bit, I traveled around. I opened Texas Roadhouses in West Virginia and Florida and Maryland. And, I have been all over. And like I said, I've met my best friends there, and I have just the life that I literally want. I am so happy. But can we talk about the ego, the embarrassment, the shame, the failure that you feel when you are $40,000? That was the official number that I graduated with $40,000 in debt, and you're not using your degree. It's people. If I share this story with you, you guys that makes so much sense. You make $30 an hour. You make more money than doing what your degree, doing the job that you got your degree in. You work half the hours. You work with fantastic people. I mean, I meet people from all over. If you go on my Facebook, there is someone from every single state because I have friends all over. I have, my sister met her husband through Texas Roadhouse. All of my siblings have worked there. It's not you don't feel like you're working if you love your job. And of course, customer service can be crappy sometimes. Yeah, I know. Okay. I'm pregnant. I work in customer service. And there are some days where I have to walk away or tell my manager, I'm literally not serving this table because I'm going to slap them. And they say, heard, I will take care of it and give them to someone else. So, There's not many jobs where you can be like, I can't do this right now. And they will say, I will figure it out. And they appreciate you and they value you and your hard work. And I have been there for 9 years and I don't see myself wanting to leave. I always joke that I'm going to be like 65 serving Shirley Temples. And it's a joke, but who cares? If I'm happy and I'm doing what I love, which I do, I love it. It's a fun job. It's fun. I literally have fun. I have a line dancing competition coming up soon, next week. Like, that's part of my job. I get to do that. That's just fun to me. And I shared that I enjoy teaching and training, and I got to travel and do that. I taught people this company that I truly believe in. I think, works for you if you work for it. And there are, I can't speak for every single store, every single manager, every single owner. I can't speak for that. I can just speak for the stores that I work for and the experiences. And you think about, who's been with me through this whole experience, this job, because this is restaurant has been with me since high school and it's still here. And now look at this life I have, from someone that was going to Victoria's Secret every weekend at 19 because she's getting her first couple paychecks and she just loves everything there, to I'm now putting money away to save for when I have my baby in a couple months. Like, you just don't understand. You probably do understand. I'm not talking to a room full of people that went to college and are living the perfect life. Like, no, we all have different experiences and different things that we went through to lead us to where we are now. And whether you're happy with that or not is your own thing. And just calling up my grandmother, calling up my dad, telling my sisters, hey, I'm actually not going to be a school counselor. I'm going to do what I'm doing now. And it's working for me, and I'm going to do it for as long as I want to do it. And then being like, all right, that's fine. I was the first person in my family to graduate college, and the first person to also get a master's degree. And I wait tables. And, that took me a long time to be able to say it and not be like ashamed. Like, why is this job so frowned upon? Many people went out of work last year. You know who didn't go out of work? This girl right here. You know who made a ton of money? This girl right here. Did I work a lot? Heck yeah. But let me just share also, so why I still think college is a scam, okay? Because the richest people that I know in my life, and I don't know a lot of rich people, okay? White trash here, checking in. My husband's dad is probably the richest person I know, and he is a used car dealer. He's a used car dealership owner. Guys, he did that. I don't even know if he got a high school diploma, but all I know is that he makes enough to support his family and his family's, all of us. Like, he is very hardworking, and he did it without a college degree. Okay. And, okay, that's fine. Second person I know that makes a lot of money, my sister. My sister is a barber. That polytech school, that technical school that we went to, my sister went into cosmetology because, unlike her overachieving big sister, she kind of, middle child, sat in the shadows and kind of wanted to just get by. So she went into cosmetology. And, that was, like I said, that was like what you went into if like no one really wants to go into that shop. Like, no, my sister did that and graduated making a lot of money because she is working in the field. She has a trait to offer the world. She's a working class person. She didn't just graduate like me with no direction, just like a cloud above my head. Where am I going? I don't know yet. Let me pay $50,000 to figure it out. And then she became a barber, and, she became a barber like after she did hair for a while, and she got clientele. My sister was booked every single day. I had to be like, you need to stop working so much. But she loved her job, and her skills spoke for themselves. People would book with her, and it's just like, that's insane. My sister is making so much money, and she worked for a company that she basically worked for herself, and the work ethic doesn't come from college, okay? That comes from working. and earning your own money and the value that you place on a dollar. And that's something that I learned. Financial literacy, I learned that not through school, through taking out debt and having it and being like, what am I going to do with this? I have been consistently paying off my student loans. They're in forbearance right now because of COVID, so I don't have to pay interest. So I just pay extra money if I can afford it, because like I said, I'm still working. I still make good money. And I really didn't want to bring someone into this world. I didn't want to bring a child into the world with this much debt. So I paid off 10 grand in 1 year, 2 years now. And I just wish that I have crunched the numbers. I have done everything you can think of to try. I've worked my butt off. I've gotten multiple jobs. I've had 2 jobs. I also used to work at the Cheesecake Factory. And I have done so many things to try to, get rich quick, because I just want to pay off my student loans. I want to be debt free. I have paid off my car. I have paid off I don't have credit cards. I don't accrue debt. That is something that I learned that you do not want to have. That is a lie. That is something that they feed you. You have to, fit this certain bill, and you have to have these things, and you need to have nice dinners, and you need to do this, and you need to have nice clothes. Baby, this dress right here, Boskov, $7. It's a 2X. It's 10 times my size. I put a belt on and I look cute. I don't need to buy these expensive items. And I bought this dress like 5 years ago. You look in my closet, I probably still have stuff from high school, and I want to pay off my student loans so bad, because I want to have an opportunity, and I want to have an opportunity. I want to have enough money to be able to help my child learn skills. I wish that I had a trade, maybe that's why I went and got my yoga certificate, because now I have something to offer. I have a skill that I can offer someone, and I paid full down for my yoga certificate, and I waited until it was affordable. And, I did this for me, and I want to lead by example for my siblings. My sister didn't go to college. She didn't need to. She had a skill to offer the world. She entered the world. She entered society more of a citizen than I am, because she can, I'm trying to think of a specific word. She has something to offer. It's this. And that's how we need people to enter into society. Okay. My dad is a jack of all trades. Okay. And again, when you grow up poor, you learn how to do everything, because you can't afford to pay people to do stuff. So, we got welding, we got HVAC, we got car, we got it all, baby. Painting, building stuff, like whatever you need him to do, he will figure it out, and he'll do it wrong, and then he'll do it again, and he'll do it right. Like, that's like what we need. And none of my other sisters went to college. I have a sister now that's almost done hair school. Look, had she went and she took money out to go to this hair school. Okay, so she is now going to be in debt, not nearly as much debt as me, but still going to be in a little debt to get this skill that she could have got for free at this high school. Had they pushed it, had they explained to them, had they shared with them what valuable thing that they are offering. But no, they want to push college. They want to force that on these people, these poor students. Like, you should know that my family can't afford for me to go to college. So you should be saying, why don't you try dental? My best friend, Chelsea, went to the same high school. She graduated a couple years before me. She went into the dental field, okay? Dental assistant. This girl get offers left and right for like paying $30 an hour to be a dental assistant. She still does the job to this day. She did go back to school to try to do other stuff. She ended up dropping out because nothing compares to the schedule, the relationship, the money, and the time off that you build when you work for a company for that long or in a field for that long. And finally, she's like, I just don't think I'm going to go back. Like, you're making this skill that you have work for you. Why go into debt? And I would tell her this all the time. Do not go into debt. Do not go into debt. Do not go into debt. Do not go into debt if you don't have to. You don't understand what you have right now. You have a skill that other people don't have. I don't have a skill. I don't have a skill to offer. All I have are my experiences and this, and I don't have a trade. And, you know, and you just, we're so grateful for these people that can, fix my electrical system, install carpet, paint my house. God, have you painted a room recently? It's hard. I just did it for my nursery, and that is just where, why I feel like I was scammed into college. And whether you can agree with the word scam, but that's what a scam is to me. Selling me a dream that I cannot achieve, that I could achieve if I'm one in a million. There are school counselors out there, and they probably have a great life, and they probably love their job. And I want to say that I do not regret college. I don't want this to come off as me bashing college. I do not regret it at all. It is just not what I was sold it was supposed to be. College, like I said earlier, it was me search. I am a better wife. I will be a better mother. I'm a better friend, a better sister, a better daughter. I am a better person because of my degrees. The understanding that I get in psychology, understanding how the mind works, the social interactions. I took a class in college called critical thinking, which, God, I don't even want to know if that class is even allowed now. And I had a great professor, and let me tell you why I was a great professor, because I don't know any of his personal beliefs. I don't know any of his personal values. He never once shared anything or try to sway us in one way or the other about what he believed. He taught us how to critically think about a situation. You show us a picture of a historical movement. What does it mean to you? Think about it. Okay? Do not tell me what you were told to think about it. See what you see. And that's how I know I had good teachers or good professors, because they did not try to impose. One of my teachers in high school said, you should never, ever, ever know your teacher's political party. And I think that's how it should be. Let me think for myself. Give me the tools and the skills that I need to make the right decision. Okay? And, that kind of brings me to my next point, which I don't have a lot of time. I really have to go to this baby shower, but I want to share with you really quickly. And I read this book called The Coddling of the American Mind, and I'm going to pull it up really quickly so you guys can see what it looks like. Okay? The Coddling of the American Mind. This book just came out in 2018, and it recently, it's not that old. I just read it, and how good intentions and bad ideas are setting up a generation for failure. That's basically what I just explained to you guys. We are on the same page, right? I talk about how, I was sold this idea of college as something to save me from poverty, something to make my life better. And it was me learning about myself and using as a teaching experience, and, all those things that I got so much out of my college experience. However, it would have been nice to know that's what I was going to get out of it versus what I thought I was going to get out of it. Does that make sense? It's like, taking a bite out of something that you think is yogurt and it's really sour cream. Now, I don't dislike sour cream. I just thought I was getting yogurt. So I'm not mad. I'm just like, well, that's annoying. So that's kind of how I truly feel about college. But the reason I brought this book up is because it is a problem. Read the book yourself. Read the book and then tell someone else to read it, because it really opens your eyes to what is happening at our universities and what is happening at our colleges nearby. And, this specific book just talks about, I pulled it up because I don't want to, slaughter it, but it just talks about the negative effects. Like, it's basically the overprotection is having a negative effect on these college students. And, all these trigger warnings, all these safe spaces, it's not helpful. And I've said this before and I'll say it again, a trigger is your responsibility. Okay. It is not your fault, and it's not fair a lot of the time why we have triggers. But let me say this again. It is your responsibility to take care of it. It is not anyone else's responsibility. Okay. If I don't like to be touched and a stranger accidentally brushes up, I have no right to scream at them and tell them to stand back and give me my space. And you're freaking out. That is not my responsibility, or that is not their responsibility to know what my triggers are. Okay. Now I can tell my husband that I don't like to be touched. So let me know before you're going to touch me so that I can prepare for it. Okay. Do you see the difference in that? I'm not flipping out on random strangers or trying to force people to mold themselves around my trigger. I am just going to share with my husband this trigger, and then so he can help me work through it. And while he does that, I am working through this trigger so that it is no longer an issue. Okay. So I'm going to therapy. I'm doing yoga. I'm doing different things, whatever works for you to work through a trigger so that it is no longer a trigger. You should not have a trigger. You should be actively working on your triggers so that there are not triggers. But when we create safe spaces to not allow these triggers to be, there's a reason it gets pushed. It's letting you know that trigger is there to let you know, hey, something's not right. I need to look at this. I need to figure this out. I need to kind of dig deeper. And that's the hard part. That's what we don't want to do. So instead of, having everyone have a 6-foot bubble around you so that you don't ever get brushed up on, why don't we figure out why that is a problem for you so we can fix it? Because like I said, it is not my responsibility to make sure you are not feeling triggered all the time. Take care of yourself. Okay. And this is coming from someone who realized in her 20s that she had a ton of triggers, and I'm just exploding on everyone and I'm blaming everyone. That is not their fault. That is not their fault. Okay. It is my responsibility to take care of myself. So, in specific education, like in this book, it just discussed the microaggressions and that call out culture. And, universities have always been kind of this space where it leans a little bit more left, right? That's always been the case. This book specifically, it brings up articles and statistics, and it goes back to the 90s when the scales were about, 60-40. Okay. So it's still pretty heavily weighed more a little bit to the left. But we still have a pretty decent balance. You will probably still encounter a professor that, and I'm talking specifically about left or right. Okay. That's the words I'm going to use. So you still will probably encounter someone that is a professor that is a right-minded person. I'm going to say right-minded and left-minded, but you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Okay. So, in the 90s, we still had a decent balance. The scales were not even, but it was decent enough to where you could get a roundabout education. You could hear all the sides, get all the opinions. Okay. It is not that case anymore. It is about 90-10. It is about 95-5. And specifically, we are canceling teachers. We're canceling professors that have worked for these universities for decades because they disagree. The students don't like what they have to say. They disagree with what they have to say. Now, I am big on college. I'm buying college. So college should be what I want it to be to an extent. Okay. I understand that I am paying these professors to teach me something, but I'm also signing up for the courses. So if I don't feel like I'm getting adequate teaching, that is something I can do. However, if I don't like what the teacher is teaching because it hurts my feelings, because I think it's wrong, then it's probably not their opinion. It's probably the information. No teacher should be giving their opinion, okay, unless a student asks for it. They should be teaching you the material, the facts of that specific subject, okay? That is not the case, And I was in college, I would know. And I also read this book, which is specifically scientific articles. This is not stuff made up. This is not an opinion. This is true stuff. And these safe spaces are created so that students can go like this to things that they don't want to hear. Okay? That is not what we are here to do. We are here to educate you. If you want to have that opinion after you graduate, you cannot say that we did not teach you the right thing. We did not give you the information that you need to make your own decision. So these teachers are literally quitting. These people that understand and have, the right idea, and the right idea as far as, I need to teach you stuff that you might not like to hear or you might not want to hear, but you still have to hear it because it is still a part of this specific material. And I know I'm kind of being vague, and that's because I want it to apply. But I'll give you an example that the book gives. There was like a Halloween party that a school was showing, and the school was having, and one of the students said that we should limit certain Halloween costumes, because we can insult people, or cultural appropriation, like things like that. We should not allow students to wear certain things. Well, this specific professor said, no, these students are adults. They should be able to make decisions for themselves and manage that themselves. We are not going to ban them or tell them what they can and cannot wear to a college Halloween party. Okay? So that's what he said. Now, do we agree with that? Yeah, I'm an adult. Please don't tell me what I can and cannot wear. First things. This student or this specific situation, it becomes a situation. It becomes a whole thing where this teacher is now like a racist, or, like agrees with cultural appropriation. Now we need to cancel this professor because he will not tell these students that they cannot wear what they want to wear. He never said that. He's just saying, I trust them as adults to make their own decisions. And if you like that situation, if you like that scenario, I strongly suggest you read the book because it's tons of them. And, the coddling of the American mind, that's exactly what it is. And, these universities and these college administrations, they're calling on each other to basically like, can you help me out? And these people are afraid because they don't want to be canceled. They don't want to be like targeted by these students who are literally bullying them for things that they don't want to hear. Nick said this earlier, and he was like, college is like a bubble of a sandwich, and in that bubble, the mold is just growing and it's getting bigger and bigger. And could you, like me, like saying something like this, like I have the audience that wants to hear this, but could you imagine if I went to a college and they listened to this live stream, this college is a scam live stream? They would lose it. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that the $50,000 that they took out is most likely not going to get them where they want to be, where they think they're going to be. They would lose it. They would literally freak out. And that's the problem. I had to go through that. I went to college. I know. I didn't want to hear that either. No, don't tell me that. I'm taking $40,000 out. Don't tell me it's a waste of time. It's not a waste of time. I'm not against college. This is my story. This is my experience. I just think that university and college is not what it's supposed to be. It's not a grounds for teaching and learning and critical thinking and opening your mind to learn something else, to have different experiences. It is a breeding ground for a specific agenda of coddling these students and not getting them ready for the real world. You listen, high school does a good enough job of coddling us and not teaching us what we need to know. We don't need the universities and the colleges to go down for it. You know what else? We need to, do whatever we can to support the trades and things like that. What are these professors, or not professors, what are these teachers going to do when, they are teaching, they're wearing a BLM t-shirt to fourth grade? Okay. Like, what are we doing? That is your personal opinion. That needs to stay out of my school. Whether you believe in the movement or not, you don't need to impose that on my fourth grader. You understand what I'm saying? And that might be enough for a mom to say, I'm done and I'm pulling my kids out of school. That is one less student. And you might think that, oh, that's one student that we don't have to worry about. Okay, but there's tons of parents that feel the exact same way. Okay, and what happens when we figure it out and we are all taking our children out of school and homeschooling become a thing? Like, I don't want it to be divided like this. We cannot be imposing our ideas and our thoughts on this in this way. No matter what you agree with, you should not know your teacher's opinions and on anything, really. Let's leave it up to the parents to teach personal things like that. Okay, if that parent wants to teach their child about BLM and certain things, then that is their right. Let them do that. That is their right. If they want to teach them that at home, let them. But let's leave it out of the education. Okay, a space where they can be unbiased and have the opportunity to critically think and hear things that they might not agree with, hear things that they might not like, and be able to handle it, but it not be forced down their throat. And I just wanted to touch on that a little bit because that chip on my shoulder that I explained about earlier had me doing research about college and why I ended up on The Coddling of the American Mind book. And, it's just if more people could speak out, I guess, or not even just speak out, it's just be on the same page without being aggressive. Having the intelligence to be able to convey what you want to say without offending everyone involved, which is incredibly hard. But also not taking baggage, not taking emotions that's not yours. Okay, you're offended by what I said about saying you should not wear saying you should not wear a BLM t-shirt to school does not mean, as a teacher, does not mean that I don't support BLM. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you don't know what any of these students support. You just should not be imposing that on other students because it is a thing. It is an issue. Like you probably don't even understand who really runs that whole movement. So before we even get into that, let's just know how to say that without coming off or being offended by that as the person hearing it, but also saying it in an intelligent way that is not rude or coming off offensive where then we're labeled a certain name or label. It's hard, and it's, that's the problem that we have right now. But before I log off here, because I need to go to this baby shower, I just want to say that I do not regret, or I do not support, I do not regret going to college. And I do not think that, it is not, everyone always says college isn't for everyone. And that's true. It isn't for everyone. We need blue collar workers. My family, every single one of them is a blue collar worker, and they work hard. And, Nick and I do our best to support small businesses because those people working hard. And, I'm going to hire the guy down the street to come, install my fan before I hire this franchise. You know what I mean? Just like something like that. And it's because I respect and I appreciate these skills that these people have. And I couldn't, for example, garbage man, not the job for me. I respect them because that's a hard job and it's stinky and they're out there in the sun and they work for hours a day. You think because they got your trash at 10 a.m. that they're done? No, they're probably working until 7 o'clock at night getting trash. And that's just a small thing. And they get paid well for it and they have benefits. And to be looked down on as a can man, honey, the teacher who makes less than the garbage man is telling students to be a teacher. See how that doesn't really... Anyway, if you guys like this content, if you like my channel, please subscribe to me, like me. And if you have someone that would agree with this post, or maybe someone struggling to go to college, or getting ready to go to college and you know a high school senior, send it to them. This is just my experience. I'm sure there's other experiences out there, but if they maybe have a similar, childhood experience, maybe they would find insight coming from this. So please share it, like it, subscribe, and I really appreciate all of you guys for joining in with me. And I have so much more to talk about, but my friend is having twins and I want to go to her baby shower that starts at 3:00. So it's 2:30 now and I really got to get going. And support your local Texas Roadhouse. They work hard. So thank you guys so much. And I will be back in a couple days with some more content. Who knows what I'll say, but I really appreciate all the support. And I am just happy that you guys, we're all on the same page. I know I didn't bring up a lot of comments or interact that much with the chat, but I'm literally reading it all with you guys, and I'm right there with you. And I just appreciate it so much, and you guys really make it worth it. So thank you so much. Thanks for being the good eggs, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.